Hello everyone, and welcome to FustatAI, an open source learning journey exploring LLMs, agentic AI, and vibe coding. In this video, we will be exploring agentic workflows and LLM orchestration by building a technology market research workflow powered by multiple specialized agents. In real life, in doing a technology market research, we follow a structured process. So at a very high level, there are three main stages. The first stage is the market analysis, understanding the market landscape, who are the technology vendors and player in that specific domain. Second stage is the vendor analysis. This is a deep dive into each vendor, learning and understanding more about the product features and capabilities they offer, deployment options, pricing model, and so on. The final and third stage is the evaluation phase, where we perform SWOT analysis, shortlist few vendors that match our needs, and make recommendation and plan next steps. So our goal in this demo is to simulate this process using multiple AI agents. Now, to put this workflow into action, we need two more critical components. An orchestrator agent. This is like the brain, our lead researcher who supervises the work, coordinates the agents, and decides what happens next. Also, we introduce a gate review step. This is important since our agents will work hard for us. Then we want to avoid vague or generic domains like AI or cloud. So the first thing the orchestrator will do is call our technology domain agent, which validates and confirms the user intent and specify technology domain before any research starts. Once this is confirmed, then we move forward with our research. The market analyst agent will perform web research and identify the top vendors and create a vendors list. The orchestrator validates the list and asks our vendor analyst agent to research the product features and so on. And finally, our insight analyst reviews all of the collected information and generates an executive level report, including comparisons, SWOT analysis, and recommendations. Now, let's see it in action. I have previously configured the workflow in Agent Studio, and now I'm using Agent Hub. So let's interact with our orchestrator and give it a broad term like AI. Okay, so now it's asking us to specify the domain, the subdomain that we're going to search for. So let's do something like GenAI. Now, this might take some time, so I'll fast forward the video till our report is generated. All right, our report is here. So let's look at it. So let's go to the top of the report. Yes. So this is coming from our Insight Analyst agent. It's giving us an executive summary. This is the Gen AI market. It's a mix of large clouds. OpenAI leads in model capability, consumer reach, Google, Microsoft, pair model access with enterprise distribution. Hugging Face leads the open source. Yeah, makes sense. Anthropic emphasize on safety and alignment. True. Then there is Midjourney, Adobe, Runway leads in creative multimodal. Okay, this is good. 11 Labs leads in TTS, text to speech. See vendor pages. Now it includes citations as well. This is good. Data gaps, so public sources collected, lack comparative numeric figures for pricing, market share, and SLA terms. Nice. Now for the short recommendation for buyers. So it's recommending us to do rapid prototyping or custom model development, for example, Hugging Face for production grade LLMs, large scale integrations, support look into Microsoft and Google. And for creative image, Midjourney, Adobe Firefly, TTS is 11 Labs. Now we have a vendor comparison or a summary overview here. Now it's giving us some strengths and use cases for OpenAI, Microsoft, Gemini, Hugging Face, Cloud, Adobe Firefly, Midjourney, Runway, 11 Labs. And it's making a comparative analysis, ranking, and methodology. So it's doing a weighted criteria based on the model and feature capability, market presence, and production integration, enterprise readiness. Wow, this looks nice. And here it's scoring the different vendors, approximate scores based on the collected data set, relative ranking, precise benchmark, recommending before buying. Now, OpenAI is at the top. General purpose model, broad multimodal, largest consumer adoption, ChatGPT, of course, followed by Microsoft, Azure OpenAI, strength in, of course, enterprise-ready packaging and procurement path, Gemini, high-performance multimodal integration across Google Cloud. Here we have Hugging Face as well, open source ecosystem, enabling customization and deployment flexibility. Anthropic, emphasizing on safety, attractive to regulated industry, and safety-first deployments. This is really interesting. Now we have the second section. This is the third section. The SWOT summaries for the top vendors. So it's ranking OpenAI, Microsoft, Gemini, Hugging Face, Anthropic. Some key insights collected from the data. Conversions on multimodality, leading vendors emphasize models that handle text, image, audio, and video. Enterprise packaging is a differentiator, so Microsoft, Adobe convert model capability into enterprise workflows and licensing. Open source versus managed trade-off, Hugging Face and stability. Wow, this is really nice. It's giving us some recommendations as well, defining priority, needs first, best-in-class LLMs, enterprise integration, open source or custom models, and so on. So this report took around 4 minutes, and it's giving us a lot of summary about the different vendors, discrepancy in the data, some guidance on what to do next, along with citations and sources that it has collected. So that's basically our report. Now let's look at how this was built. Okay, so let's switch to our Agent Studio and first start with the orchestrator. So let's look at the orchestrator prompt and see the instructions. So basically, the orchestrator is responsible for the market research pipeline. It decomposes the user goals into subtasks, clarify the domain, identify top vendors, collect detailed vendor data, then analyze and gather insights, compiling the final report. So the subtasks, and this is where each agent is triggered. So this is how it's executing the work. So if domain is unclear, use the tech domain expert. These are actually the agents. Then use the market analyst agent to find vendors. For each vendor, call the vendor analyst agent. Pass all data to inside analysis agent for analysis and summary. Manage memory and context. Store the original domain, the clarify domain, the list of vendors, basically all of the data, validate outputs at each stage. Check that each of these vendors is actually returning data in the desired format. We have added here the agents that's using, and these are our 4 agents. So let's go and look into them. So first, let's start with the tech domain expert. The tech domain expert has no tools. We don't need to provide it with any tools. It's just doing a check. So it's parsing the user input for ambiguity. And then we're giving it example. For example, ask the users if they do you mean like e-commerce, retail commerce, or they ask it like commerce or something, and then map the input into a standard domain using known categories and return the clarified domain and return that into a string format. Now let's look at our market analyst. For this, we gave it the Serper, which is a web search using Google search. It has some free tokens, so it's actually nice to use. So the market analyst identifies the top technology vendors. It uses web search queries using the domain. For example, top domain, whatever domain that the user has passed, vendors into that. Use web search, retrieve results, focus on reputable sources like industry reports such as Gartner, Forrester, ISE, exact vendor names, description, relevant URLs from the top 5 to 10 results, compile the data into structured lists, return a JSON array with name, description, and URL. If no vendors were found, return this error. Okay. Our second agent is the vendor analyst. So for the vendor analyst, for each vendor, from the list, search using vendor name and domain. Use your web search, find official websites, reviews, articles, extract key data such as product features, pricing models, target market strength, weaknesses, recent news. Structure the data per vendor, ensure consistency, return a JSON object per vendor with fields like the features, which is a list and array list, pricing, market share, strength, weaknesses, handle error and fallback strategy. So if a vendor data is incomplete, note missing fields and return a partial object with an error flag. Now let's look at our last agent, the insight analysis. This one has no tools because it's using all of the compiled data to generate its report. So let's look at it. So the instructions review all vendor data from the vendor analyst agent, identify common features, differences, trends, and gap across vendors, perform a comparative analysis, SWOT for top vendors, rank vendors based on criteria like features or market presence, draft a report with sections, executive summary, vendor comparison, key insights, recommendations, which we have seen previously. Finalize the report in Markdown, citing sources from the collected data, and generate your output in a Markdown format. And if there is any inconsistent data, then mark it down. So that's basically our orchestrator along with its agents. Few final thoughts before we wrap up. In agentic workflows, not every agent needs the same level of reason. So we can have a mix of different LLMs for cost optimization. In market research, we're dealing with large context in a single run. A single run can take up to 220,000 tokens, where most of the work is input, not output tokens. This workflow can be further improved by enforcing a structured report template so outputs are more consistent, and introduce a report review cycle where we generate a draft version of the report first, then another agent review and produce the final results. Please let us know with your thoughts, and thank you for watching.